Ever dreamed of retiring, not at 65, but say 37? Sounds like a fantasy, right? But what if I told you there's a specific financial strategy that could actually make it happen? A way to build a money engine that pays you every single month for the rest of your life. So today, we're gonna break down exactly how this works. Imagine this for a second. You're on a beach. Maybe you're exploring some new city, and your phone buzzes. It's not a work email. Nope. It's a notification. $5,000 just landed in your account. And guess what? It happens again next month and the month after that, all without you lifting a finger. Is that even possible?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you actually create this endless stream of income that frees you from the whole 9-to-5 grind? Well, it's not about winning the lottery. It's not about some inheritance. It's about a specific, systematic plan.
And the answer has a name. It's called an SWP, a Systematic Withdrawal Plan. The easiest way to think about it is this. It's a system for turning your investment portfolio into your own personal lifelong salary. And we are going to get into exactly how it's done.
To really see just how powerful this is, let's look at a story of 3 friends. They all graduated college together, full of dreams, but they took completely different paths with their money. Let's call them Chad, Ryan, and Zach. So you've got Chad. He was all about living for today. Moved to New York, loved the nightlife, and whatever cash was left over at the end of the month, he'd just stick it in a savings account or a CD. Then there was Ryan. He was the planner. Moved to San Francisco, immediately started following the 50-30-20 rule. Investing 20% every month for a pretty standard retirement in about 25 years. And then there was Zach. Nobody really knew what Zach was doing. He was a total mystery. Okay, let's fast forward 8 years. They're all 30 now. Chad, with his safe CDs, has managed to save about 40 grand. Ryan, our diligent investor, he's done pretty well. He's built up a portfolio worth about $190,000. Not bad, right? But Zach? He's still this giant question mark. And this all came to a head when the 3 of them met up in New York. They were just catching up, talking about old times, and of course, the conversation turned to jobs, money, the future, and that's when everything changed. Because right then, Zach just drops this bombshell. He looks at them and says, I'm retiring in the next 7 years, by the time I'm 37. You can just imagine. Chad and Ryan are completely stunned. Like, how is that even possible? Ryan's the one who was saving aggressively, and his plan was for another 25 years. Zach finally let them in on his secret. It was a 2-part strategy. First, he had this super disciplined way to build wealth, fast, a rule he called the 8-4-3 rule. And second, his end game was to use an SWP to turn that pile of money into an income stream. So, part 1, how in the world did he build this $1 million engine so quickly? Well, it wasn't magic. It was all about a simple formula. Earn more, spend way less, and then invest the difference with just incredible discipline. So, while he had his regular job, Zach also started an e-commerce side hustle. That pushed his take-home pay to about $6,000 a month. But, and this is the absolute key, he forced himself to live on just half of that, $3 grand a month. The other half, a full $3,000 every single month without fail, went straight into his investments. And this led to what he called his 8-4-3 rule. By investing $3,000 a month, assuming the market gave him about a 12% average return, it took him 8 years to hit his first $500,000. But here's where compounding goes crazy. The next $500,000, that only took 4 more years. The money itself starts doing the heavy lifting, and the growth it accelerates like crazy. Okay, so building that $1 million nest egg is one thing, but that's only half the battle. Now for the real magic, turning that lump sum into a paycheck for life using that systematic withdrawal plan. And this is where it all comes together. Zach's plan is to pull out $5,000 a month, that's 60 grand a year. Now, common sense would say his $1 million should start draining, right? Wrong. Look at these numbers. Because his portfolio is still invested and still earning that average 12% a year, it's actually growing faster than he's taking money out. After 20 years, he's taken out $1.2 million, and he still has over $5 million left. It's incredible. Okay, this sounds almost too good to be true. So what's the catch? There has to be a limit, right? What happens if you get a little greedy and try to pull out more? This is probably the most important question you have to ask. Well, let's look at the danger zone. If Zach decided, hey, I'm going to withdraw $10,000 a month instead of $5,000, he'd be taking out more than his investments could reliably grow back. And the whole plan it collapses. After 30 years, yeah, he would have taken out $3.6 million, but his entire nest egg would be gone. Poof, it's all gone. So here's the golden rule, right? It's simple. You have to withdraw less than you expect your investments to earn each year. In Zach's case, he's expecting 12% returns, so taking out 6% is a pretty safe place to start. Why? Because it leaves the other 6% in the account to keep compounding and growing, protecting him from running out of money. Look, Zach's story is awesome, but it's more than just a story. It's basically a blueprint. So let's break this whole thing down into a clear path that anybody can follow. It really comes down to 4 key steps. Step 1, maximize your income. You can't invest money you don't have. Step 2, invest aggressively. That 50% savings rate Zach had is extreme, but it's the accelerator. Step 3, build your corpus. That's your money engine. You've got to focus on hitting that target number. And finally, step 4, activate your SWP and start living off the income.
Now, I gotta be real with you here. This is not easy. Step 3, building that initial pile of money, is by far the hardest part. We're talking years of intense discipline, real sacrifice, and a constant focus on earning more and spending less. It's a short-term sprint for a lifetime of freedom.
And that really leaves us with one final question, a question for you. This kind of financial freedom, it's possible, but it's not free. It means making choices today that your future self is going to thank you for. So when you look at your own life, what trade-offs are you really willing to make? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a pretty incredible 15-year financial blueprint. It's designed to do 2 things. First, build you a fortune. And second, turn that fortune into a paycheck for life. So, let's kick things off with a pretty big question. I mean, forget that slow 40-year crawl to retirement that we always hear about. What if there was a faster way, like a 15-year sprint to build a really significant nest egg? And get this. What if, after those 15 years, that pile of money started paying you a salary, a steady, reliable income forever? I'm talking for the rest of your life without you ever having to touch the original cash you put in. Now, I know, it sounds a little like magic, right? But it's actually grounded in some really solid financial principles. So how in the world does this actually work? Well, we're going to unpack a kind of financial engine, and it runs in 2 very distinct phases. This isn't just one simple trick, you know? It's a whole system for first building your wealth and then living off of it. Okay, so here's the basic roadmap. It's really a journey in 2 parts. First up, you've got the accumulation phase. This is all about building your nest egg, and we're going to use something called the 8-4-3 rule. Then we flip the switch to the income phase. This is where you live off that nest egg using what's known as a systematic withdrawal plan. It's kind of like you spend the first half building the machine and the second half turning it on. All right, let's dive into phase 1, building that engine. We're talking about the 8-4-3 rule. Now, this is where the heavy lifting happens, for sure. But as you're about to see, the work you put in now, it pays off big time later on. So, what is this 8-4-3 rule? Well, it's not some magic spell or a super strict formula. It's more like a rule of thumb, a roadmap, really. It just shows you the insane power of compound interest, how it's not a straight line. It's this curve that gets steeper and steeper, making your money grow faster and faster over time. And this really gets to the heart of it. That first chunk of money is always the hardest to save. It feels like such a grind, right? But once you hit a certain point, it's like reaching escape velocity. Your money starts working for you, creating that classic snowball effect. It just starts rolling downhill, getting bigger and faster all on its own. And right here, you can see that acceleration in action. Look at this. Getting to your first 500 grand, okay, that might take 8 years. But check this out. The next 500 grand only takes 4 years. And the one after that, just 3. The time it takes to make the exact same amount of money gets cut in half and then some. I mean, that is the power of compounding right there. Okay, but we've got to be real here for a second. This whole model rests on some pretty big assumptions. First, that 12% annual return, well, that's not guaranteed. It's based on historical stock market averages, but, past performance is no promise for the future. Also, this is super time sensitive. If you start late, it can add years to the timeline. And of course, this simple model doesn't account for real-world stuff like taxes, inflation, or big market dips, which, can definitely change the numbers.
All right, so you did it. You followed the rule, you put in the 15 years, you built your fortune. Now what? Well, now we move to phase 2, making that money pay you. And this is where something called a Systematic Withdrawal Plan, or SWP, comes into play.
So a systematic withdrawal plan, an SWP, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's just a structured way to turn that big pile of investments into a regular paycheck. Think of it like saving, but in reverse. Instead of putting money in every month, you set up a system to take a fixed amount out. The key is the rest of your money stays invested and keeps working for you. And the way it works is actually beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1, you've got your big nest egg. Let's say it's $1 million. Step 2, you just tell your investment company, hey, sell a tiny piece of my portfolio every month and send me the cash. So you get your monthly payout, but, and this is the genius of it, the rest of your money, the huge chunk of it, stays in the market where it can keep on growing. So this brings up a pretty wild question, doesn't it? If it really possible to pull a great income from your investments for like decades, take out way more money than you ever put in, and still end up with more than you started with? Well, this is where the math gets really, really fun. Let's look at the numbers. Okay, let's put some real numbers on this. Let's say you hit your goal. You have a $1 million nest egg. That's your starting point for this whole income phase. Now you flip the switch. You start pulling out $5,000 a month, every single month. For 30 years. You do the math, that's $1.8 million you've paid yourself. You've taken out almost double what you started with. So the account must be empty by now, right? I mean, it has to be. Nope, not even close. And this is the part that just blows my mind. Even after taking out all that money, if your portfolio kept growing at that 12% average, your final balance would be a jaw-dropping $14.7 million. Just think about that for a second. You lived off it for 30 years, and your wealth still grew by almost 15 times. It's incredible. But again, let's be responsible. This isn't a fantasy world. There are very real risks. Market volatility is probably your biggest enemy. If the market crashes and you're forced to sell shares just to get your monthly check, you're hurting your portfolio's ability to recover. And then there's inflation, the silent killer. That $5,000 you take out in year 1 is going to buy a whole lot less 30 years down the road, and you absolutely have to plan for that. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. Let's put these two big ideas, the 8-4-3 rule and the WSP, together into one single complete blueprint for financial freedom. And here it is, the whole strategy on one slide. It's so simple when you see it like this. You have your building years, right? Your job is to invest consistently. Your tool is the 8-4-3 rule. The goal? Grow a huge pile of money. Then you shift gears to your retirement years. Now your job is to make regular withdrawals. Your tool is the SWP. And the goal? Create an income that lasts. It's just a beautiful, simple transition from one mission to the next. So if there is one golden rule that makes this whole thing tick, it is this. You have to withdraw less money than your portfolio is earning. You live off the interest, the growth, not the original pile of cash. As long as you do that, this financial engine can basically run forever. It might even keep getting bigger. Look, at the end of the day, this whole blueprint isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. Not at all. It's really a testament to the quiet, unstoppable power of discipline and time. It's about making 1,000 small, smart decisions, to save a little more, to invest consistently, to not panic when the market gets shaky, and just repeating them day after day for years until they compound into something truly amazing. And that really brings us to the end of this explainer. You have the blueprint now. The math is there, the strategy is laid out. So I guess the only thing left to ask is, now that you know how it's done, what's the very first small decision you're going to make today to start building your own financial engine?